Migration has become a political and a political only issue when I think we are trying to bring it back to a much more human story and also to a much more technical level to understand what actually we know about it and how to deal with it. So I would say to your question, maybe we should get a bit down from this politically heated debate and think really concretely, technically, in practical terms, what it means to manage migration in our contemporary world, because we can't not just ignore it anymore.
And so, give me some practical steps of what needs to be done in order to address the issue.
So you are talking about this global compact on migration that has been negotiated by states and has been also the victim of this highly politicized context on which we always treat migrants. We are always going either making migrants in the angelism or the diabolization of the debate. So they're either our heroes, and there's a lot of politically correct around that, or it's the negative, the security, the terrorism that's connected to migration. So among the solutions we can have is to come back to thinking more practically. What does it mean in terms of bilateral agreements? What does it mean in terms of multilateral discussions among states? What kind of arrangement we need? For instance, climate change is affecting more and more migration. Do we need, for instance, to have visas, particularly for people who will be moving, for instance, because of natural disasters? Is your consular services ready to take care of the people abroad? Can we do something about returns so that they are much more sustainable, that people are reintegrated and have a livelihood for future lives? What can we do for people who are already on the move? How do we assist them? How do we protect them? There's a huge range of solutions, and we are hiding behind the huge political vision and forgetting the concrete dimension of it, but also just the human bit of it.
And the irony is that many of these countries, such as the US, Australia and the UK, have benefited enormously themselves from migration.
I think migration is a very complex story. And in fact, it's not black and white. And if you look, for instance, take the case of a young woman who will leave, for instance, I don't know, from Moldova and go to France or to the US, or a Ghanaian going to the Netherlands. You will have a story where someone is bringing something, skills, knowledge, a background, experience. In the same time, you can look at the story, sadly, of the family, of the kids left behind who are growing without their parents. And you look at what it can bring through this person, for instance, taking care for elderly in the country receiving the person. So you see, it's always this complexity of gray areas. Migration, it's positive and negative. It has cases where it's clearly a tragedy. If you have to move because you lost everything because of a flood and you are not prepared because of conflict, it's tragic. But in many cases, family also dream of a better world. They just send one person abroad, and it can be a positive story. But we should not simplify. We should try to understand the complexity of it and also understand the real evidence.